Let me introduce you to Julia Tenzin. She was in retreat in France, south of France, for 10 years, studied with the Lama Gendun Rinpoche, and now she's studying at the University of West for her master's degree in Buddhist Studies. And we're very happy to be able to invite her to come to town for a week for a lecture, retreat, and then next week there's a 35 Buddha practice as well as another workshop on my training. And our organization is an international group called the Karma Kagyu Buddhist Holy Path Center. And then we're the Eugene chapter, and then we meet every week, twice a week, on Wednesdays, 7 to 8, and Saturdays, 10 to 11 for meditation. So if you are very welcome to join us. Now, let's do it again.
So good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming, and I'm very happy to be with you tonight. The subject of tonight is working with the emotions, a very important subject because the emotions are something that we have to deal with all the time, and very often we are not so very happy about what they do to us. And so the Buddha and the Buddhist masters after the Buddha have come up with some answers about how to change our attitude to what comes up in our mind, so we make it not an unpleasant experience, something that we dread, but something enriching that carries us to enlightenment. I will start by saying a little bit more about where this teaching comes from, and about where the teachers come from that teach here in the Bodhipath, so that you get a little bit of an idea who's talking to you. So, well, you know my name now is Julia Tenzin, maybe you saw on the poster. Tenzin is a Tibetan name, and I received it, as many others of the students received Tibetan names, when we started our training with the Tibetan master Lama Gendun. And Tenzin means holding up the doctrine, holding up the teachings. They are always very high names to inspire us to go further. So Lama Gendun was a meditation master who spent himself 30 to 40 years in retreat in different places, first in Tibet, and then once the Tibetans were chased out of Tibet, in India, then in Bhutan, and finally he was sent to France because there was a man who gave a huge amount of land to several Tibetan teachers, and so this man gave a piece of land to the Karmapa who sent this meditation master and said, establish Buddhism here, because people have everything, or have a lot what comfort, what material comfort is concerned, but they have a lot of suffering with their emotions. They don't know how to deal with their minds, and Buddhism could help them. So Lama Gendun's first reaction, as I was told, I wasn't there at that time, was that he said, I come from the backlands of Tibet, I'm too old, what can I do? Anyway, the Karmapa insisted, and fortunately, so Lama Gendun came to France and established retreat centers. And actually, I'm very pleased tonight, someone here visiting us, she was there when Lama Gendun arrived in France, Victoria. So that was a very fortunate meeting to see her. When I came, then things were more established. At that time, Lama Gendun was at a point in his life where he had traveled and taught so much that he said, okay, now I settle down, and whoever wants to study with me comes to this place in France. And so we built up the houses ourselves. There were just farmhouses first, and then we built up retreat centers. And he said, I'm too old to go and learn your culture, so I will give everything from the very traditional point of view, and then it is up to you to learn it and to understand it from within, and then to translate it into your culture and into your language. So that meant for us, we had to do it the Tibetan way. And why did we do it? Because he was someone who, by his very being and by the advice he gave to people and the teachings he gave to people, he was so convincing that people just turned around and let their minds, let their lives be, and do something totally new, like coming to a monastery. That was certainly not my plan when I was 20, but 21 I was there in the monastery. And so we were shaving our heads, dressed up in Tibetan robes, learning Tibetan, studying Tibetan texts, and the traditional way to go very deep in meditation and study in the Tibetan tradition is to do a so-called 3-year retreat. There's the idea that 3 years is a cycle where mind and body goes through a complete cycle where if you give yourself totally to the spiritual quest, there's a real chance of transformation. And that's why these 3 years are put up as a program. And during these 3 years, we lived together in a small group of 10 to 15 people in a lifestyle. So there was someone 4:37 in the morning ringing the bell, and then 4:40 someone going out all dressed up in robes and doing the gong, and then we went all up, started our prayers, and then there were sessions of about 3 hours where we did meditation practice on your own, then you met in a group, it had lunch, and so on and so forth. So it was a lot done in the group, but also a lot done on your own. And this for 3 years. During this period, there was always a certain text that was studied and practiced, and then you go on the second one. So it is like intense university, and you can never leave the campus. And so this is how we let ourselves penetrate by the Dharma. Dharma means Buddha's word, or can mean just the truth. Dharma has many different meanings. When I use it, mostly it means the Buddhist teaching as it was given to us. And so I'm telling you all this in order to make you understand there's an authentic lineage to what I'm talking about tonight. But of course then it is coming through me, so it is just my understanding of it, and I hope to get you inspired to explore more, because 1 or 2 hours is not very much. Buddhism has existed since 2,500 years, and Buddhist masters in all times and all countries have written commentaries to all the texts, because they always felt that in order to reach people, in order to inspire them, that Buddhism really transforms their lives, things have to be reformulated. It has to be adapted to their culture, to their time, and also to their character. People are different. Buddha said there are 84,000 different emotions, so we need 84,000 different teachings. I don't think this is to be taken literal. But in any case, it means there's this variety that for some of you who start getting into Buddhism and you go nowadays in a bookstore, maybe you are overwhelmed with what you can find in the Buddhist shelves, and that seems also to be sometimes contradictory. You see people suggesting Buddhism and it is just plain sitting, and then you have others that talk about pure lands and deities, and then you have others that talk more about psychological approach. So all this is not contradictory, because in Buddhism there's not the idea that there's only one doctrine. The idea is people are suffering, and how can we get out of it?